Welcome to another webinar with Rocket Hub and team. So today we have a very special, individual whose great deal is live right now on Rocket Hub, and let's give a huge round of applause to Jyoti Moidatta and welcome Jyoti to Rocket Hub's exclusive webinar with our deal partners, which we do. And this was very much special because the dedication and the level of product depth which has been created with Yarnit is one of the kind of very amazing. And so Yarnit has a great team working behind it. I think we already seen the website. I hope all of you have seen the website and gone through it. You must have seen the team, the dedication, and the levels Yarnit is going right now with regards to even acquiring great big customers, which are only enterprise. So you guys are kind of experiencing a product which is being used by enterprises which are in Fortune 500, or they have multiple billions of dollars in revenue, millions of dollars in revenue. So thank you so much, Jyoti, for giving this opportunity to have you on Talk It Up, and welcome once again.
Well, thank you so much, Karan, for the opportunity, and thank you, folks, for joining in. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, basically based on whatever part you're coming from. Uh, Lovely joining in today. And like Karan said, what I wanted to do for this session, of course, would love to sort of take you through Yarnit and what we are doing here, why we are doing Yarnit, right? Uh, and would sort of give you a first-hand view of how the product works. Would love to sort of take you through a demo. If you have any questions, on the product, on our roadmap, happy to take them, right? Um, but before I get started, wanted to sort of quickly introduce myself and the team. Uh, Yarnit we started pretty much approximately 12 months back now, mid last year. And that's the point when we started looking at what's happening in the content marketing space. How do we sort of democratize the skills for everybody to create beautiful content, tell great stories? And it took us 9 months to get the product in a shape that we were confident to ship it out. And then, of course, we just made our entry into the market 3 months back, have seen lovely feedback and reception from the teams and businesses that we work with, right? Uh, so yeah, I'm equally excited for this session. Would want to sort of keep it as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, please do shoot to me or Karan. Happy to take them. The way I wanted to sort of, proceed from here, of course, I would love to sort of give you the real feel of it, because the truth lies in the product. There are enough stories that we can talk about, Yanit. Um, but before I get to the demo, I just wanted to sort of give you a quick background of why eventually we started Yanit, right? What made us get that first itch around, you know, creating a product like Yanit, right? So probably I'll use one slide, one PowerPoint slide, sort of give you the background and then take you to the product. Yeah, make sense? And Karan, please feel free to stop
Yes,
me at any point. I can be on a monologue for a long time. So, you have to sort of moderate, right?
of course.
Okay. Sure. All right. Fantastic, folks. You know, just on the product, of course, as the name says, right, Yarnit, the whole point around Yarnit was around smaller stories. Yarns are small stories, and we wanted to democratize the art of creating stories. And therefore, we literally took the noun and the verb together to frame the name. What we are doing here, of course, the idea is to sort of create an enterprise content creation engine with which anybody should be able to tell their stories, which are, you know, which speaks of their brand, whether it is you as a person or your product or your service that you sell to the market, and which is aligned to their audience, right? Now, if you look into the market or if you look into the larger ecosystem of content marketing, content creation, there are plenty of tools. At least, we can count in this room, there would be at least 100, 200 tools that we all can count, right? Uh, if you look through the journey of how a content works, of course, that it has to start from a place of idea, right? Where you're thinking about what is the next thing that I should speak about, what is that my audience is looking for, and there are a bunch of tools just for doing that. You basically go to Google, you go to BuzzSumo, you go to SEMrush to find out which content may work, what is that my audience is seeking for, right? Of course, once we have the rough idea, that is when it sort of flows into the production cycle. And when you get into the production cycle, of course, you are meeting different products based on what content you are creating, whether it is research, which you need to do for your content, whether it is finding the right multimedia, your images, music, there are a bunch of different stock libraries that are available to you. Then you get down to the actual production, whether you're writing when you're writing the copies, where you're doing the design of it. And thanks to ChatGPT, there are a bunch of copywriting tools now, right? And then at least there are a dozen would be a small number, let's say at least 100 tools just on copywriting itself. And then there are so many tools on the design side, which help you create the final creative. You know, once you go through the production cycle, that is where you are basically making the story live. You are taking a download of it, and then you hit again a bunch of publishing channels, whether these are native channels, whether it is your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. And then finally, once you've published or shared your story to the outside world, you're also looking for engagement and saying, what is that my content is doing and why, right? Now, this is a fantastic story, right? There are so many tools. Uh,
Yep.
the steps, of course, are known. But if you look at the challenge in itself, the very reason there are so many tools, it adds to the process complexity and the cost of it, right? Two majority of these tools that we are talking here are disconnected from each other, right? The idea layer doesn't speak to the production layer. What happens in the production layer never speaks to the analytics layer or the publishing layer, right? And when you create content as a creator, as a marketer, you are not just writing a blog. You are writing a blog to sell a service. Maybe you are creating fresh coconut water, or you are making the next best data science project. But eventually, you are selling it to a customer, right? And that customer would only buy that product if your content speaks to them, speaks to their challenge, right? Now, if you look at these tools, majority of them are very oblivious to the need of the customer, right? Or the need of your content, right? The last one, if you see a lot of these tools, majority of them are being point solutions. They have created silos. Of course, there is a need for that too. There are specific roles that we specialize on. But what it has largely done, it has stopped or discouraged a lot of storytellers to tell their stories, right? I have brilliant ideas, I have brilliant content, but I may not be great at creating creatives. Why not? Can I have that tool which gives me that entire flexibility to execute from an idea to the final production layer and to the analytics layer? That is simply was the genesis of Yarnit, but how we grounded it was based on three facts, right? As in, it has to be personalized. The content has to be personalized, which should speak for you to your audience. It has to be contextual. So even if I have an idea, even if I have a thought, everything that I'm writing, I'm creating has to be contextual to my, audience, to my subject, right? And finally, how do you create a connected service which takes you right from the place of an idea to the finally analytics layer? That's pretty much all the quick preface that I want to sort of give you. Um, would want to sort of take you to the demo. Happy to take your questions at any point later. Of course,
Great.
we'll dedicate a lot of time to do that. Sorry, Karan, you had
Great.
something.
Yeah, no, of course, the problem statement is absolutely correct. People face that, and even I faced that during the content creation journey. It becomes very hectic, and even like the research, right? You spend a lot
Right,
of time on research and stuff. And then you have to create
yeah,
it, so that takes a lot of hours. For
right,
just to create, let's say, one video or even one creative. So if that
right,
can be like fast tracked, that's what I would prefer, and that's why I think you are trying to solve a great solution, and that's why enterprises are with you, right? Because they want to. Because I've also worked with enterprises. They wish to save time a lot, right? They're like, get me
yeah, yeah,
something, I would pay you money, but just save me and my team's time. So yep,
right,
solving the right
right.
problem.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. On the product, folks, I think the moment you land on the product, you'll see a bunch of things, right? But the way to get started really A lot of our customers today start with the content idea layer because there are two things, and I'll talk more about it, is to sort of pick up ideas based on my previous creation behavior. What did I create last, and therefore what should I create next? If I'm not clear, if I have just a subject, a keyword in my mind, what should be my next content about it? You can find all of that through the content ideas, right? There are a bunch of other apps as well. Some of them are visual forward, whether you want to remove a background from a visual or you want to sort of publish your post to social media, you can use the publishing layer. The other way we have seen our customers start their story, of course, go through the different content templates. And you can ask me as in what is different about them? Uh, Two things, right? As in, of course, if you see, this is a list of templates which we researched, validated with our customers, and found out, these are the most relevant use cases that you would see within the content and creative side, right? And I'll talk more about it. The second, majority of these templates are expert trained. We worked with storytellers. We went beyond our team, expert storytellers who have been narrating the stories for a bunch of corporates and enterprises for a long time and trained the engine with them. So every time you see an outcome of Yarnit, whether it is the storyline or the outline that you get or the final production, a lot of that is a function of how the system has been trained, right? From a use case perspective, of course, you can go through the laundry list of things that you would see here. But within, there are specific function that it caters to. If you're creating something for social media, there are different features, whether it is for LinkedIn, you're creating something for LinkedIn, whether it is a text only post or a simple creative, or it's an ad, right? Or you are creating a multi-slide post. Likewise, you will also see Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, for Threads. You will see many of these different use cases, right, available to you. And you will also see use cases as recent and Threads. So if you look at the, largely the gamut of social media, we have covered pretty much whatever we need to do in the form of text, in the form of, text plus visuals, right? Likewise, there are business use cases, and when we come to business use cases, this could be your case study articles, your event announcement. You're going to a next event, you want your audience to know about it. You can create a simple creative with this. There's new things happening within your companies, within your individual spaces. You can quickly update use cases as simple as sharing a greetings with your audience, right? Helping you draft a customer testimonial, creating a how-to article about your product, right? So if you look at broadly the business use cases, I would divide them into PR, what we say call as PR, which is all your press releases, communication that you do to the press or to your customers, things around your product, a lot of these how-to products, creating a product value proposition, creating a product description. You can use a lot of these use cases to, create your product creatives. The last one is, of course, from a business perspective, are a few, I would say these are copywriting techniques like an IDA or a problem agitate solutions. These are simple, frameworks that are often used to write copies and creatives, often used for advertisements largely, and you can use some of them to create your content as well. From next use case perspective, you would see blog. And don't worry, I'm sorry for taking you through the details of it. I will actually show you how it works, but let me sort of quickly give you a background of things that you could possibly do with Yarnit. From a blog perspective, of course, you can write your entire blog of it, which requires your, introduction to subparagraphs and the conclusion of it. You can also write listicle blocks. We define listicle blocks to be slightly different because they are more ordered, 5 things, 3 things, 10 things, 7 things, things like that. The blocks that we like to write, and of course, if you have a largely things that you've already crafted, you can get your introduction out through an outline for yourself. The last one from a use case perspective, a larger use case perspective, are emails, right? Because this is another function of content marketing that is very, very important. And you can write different emails based on your need, whether you're making a cold outreach, sharing a new product update, or just sort of greeting somebody uh, You can do all of these different use cases. This is a list that is keeping on growing, and of course, we are very committed to get more and more use cases to our end users, right? From a freestyle perspective, now this is where I say when Yarnit can't cover, we can go to freestyle and define our own use cases and write them, design them as we really want to, right? Now, before I go ahead and show you actual use case, we talk a lot about personalization, but what exactly is it, right? Look, from a personalization perspective, you know, please ensure that when you're using the platform, you set up your brand personality brand kits. Now, what do they mean? They mean for you to have that personality when you're creating a design or writing anything, right? As in, so when it comes to design, of course, you can have your logos added here. You can add your backgrounds, whether they are created from any other, design platform like an Adobe or a Figma. If your standard illustrations that you use every time, you can add them in here. You can add your own colors, right? Whatever colors that you typically choose, the fonts that you like and the way you like them, right? And then you want your headings always to have a certain kind of font, subheadings, paragraph, you can define them right in here. What happens as a result is that every time Yarnit is designing something, it will ensure that it is keeping things consistent to how your fonts are designed, how colors are used, etc., etc. Likewise, this is the next part of your, if you think of the left and the right brain, it's pretty much like that, right? And then the brand personality is where you add more details about your brand. You can simply describe your brand. You can add multiple brands as well. You can also define who do you sell to so that every time Yarnit is recommending something, generating something for you, it is cognizant of it. If you are very proud of a copy that you might have written or you might have gotten inspired from, you can actually add that copy in here. And what happens is that Yarnit AI engine learns from it, learns the tone, learns the tenor, learns the use of word of how you sort of write. Of course, you can define the archetype, archetype of brands. Now, what happens due to an archetype, right? And then say even if I want to be witty or sarcastic in my copy, right? The system will only allow me to be as sarcastic as a sage, right? So it will always keep those guardrails for you whenever you are creating or writing something. Keywords, if there are specific keywords that you would want to sort of add in a narrative, you can do that, exclude keywords, etc. What we have seen from our customers, some wise ones, uh, they have added this list of 30, 50 words, which are very often used by AI. Unleash, unlock. You will see that pretty much in every AI generating tools. And what they've done is that they have smartly created a corpus of all of them and added into the exclusion list. And what they're able to generate is basically bypass all those commonly used terms by AI now, right? That's all on the setup. What you need to do, of course, for social media, publishing, you need to sort of set it up, set up your channels, add your channels, etc. But let me sort of quickly go to the actual, creation layer where you start. The content ideas, like I said, is one of the favorite place for our customers to start, our users to start. And what you see here, there are two pieces of things, right? As in one, it is telling me what is the next best thing that I should create, right? Now, it is constantly looking at what I'm creating, whether I'm writing a blog, whether I'm writing or creating a social media post. It is looking at my creation behavior and telling me what is the next best thing that I need to create, right? So it is constantly learning and telling you, what to do next, or rather nudging you to say this could be the possibilities of things that you can create, right? The other way to go about it is generate a completely fresh idea from scratch, right? I'm still on my brand, right? Let's say, we will create an Instagram post. Let me find something. Yeah, let's say, we want to create a Instagram carousel post, and what's coming next. I think it's later this month. World uh, photography day, if I'm not wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, this is the keyword that I'm adding, right? I can add multiple keywords. You can separate them by comma so that the system understands it a little better. What are things that are coming soon is basically you can also upload a document and find more relevant ideas of it. But at this point,
Wow.
let's say, I want to sort of do this and generate a few ideas. Now, what's happening behind the scenes? Okay, it will take good 30 seconds. So, we might as well use the time to explain what's happening, right? Now, what's happening behind the scenes? Look, it's not just going into a generation engine and generating ideas. For you, look, it is looking at that particular keyword that I've given, right? It is looking at what is that people are asking around that keyword, right? So we go to multiple sources, whether it is your search data, right? In certain FM, CPG or retail D2C use cases, we go to data like Walmart and YouTube's, etc., to find out what is that your customers are looking for, what are the keywords that are relevant in those, and then finally use that corpus into a generation layer to sort of create, uh, you know, these ideas for you, right? In this, if you see, it is suggesting different things, right? As in 10 stunning world photography day shots could be one post idea for me. But what is important to understand, look, it is cognizant of what the brand needs to have, right? What Yarnit can actually write on behalf on this particular day. So in this case, if you see one interesting recommendation that I see here is the power of visual storytelling, right? Because we eventually call ourselves as the content creation platform, and this could be one interesting post idea for us, right? The art of black and white, the photography day, capturing candid moments. So it is looking at different possibilities of things and then giving me those ideas. It will also sort of tag majority of them with the relevant keywords or high performing keywords for you to sort of get the right amount of SEO, right? Let me call that out. Yeah. Now at this point, if I like anything, I can literally pin them. If I don't like, of course, I can give that feedback. I can ask the system saying, "Hey, this is not something that I'm interested in. Hide it for me." And if I like something, maybe I want to sort of add that into my list. So this becomes your bookmark, right? Where you can find out different ideas and keep them for your future work, right? Let's say I'm going to use something like this, the power of visual storytelling, but I'm not going to use it from here. Just copied it. Now this is where we are actually going to a creation layer, you know. Let's say we would create a blog on this, and let's say I want to sort of add a little bit more complexity to this and say the power of visual storytelling in content marketing. Now, start with an intro. This is the interesting layer, the content instructions, because this instructions that you see are relevant for different use cases, right? Now, start with an introduction and start it with an analogy. So I'm going to sort of add a few things, elaborate key points. Let's say, I want to write about, start with the importance of visuals in content, strategies of using images in content marketing, what channels are most suited for visual storytelling, do's and don'ts of visual storytelling. Now, this is something that I did. I could have chosen not to do it, right? And I'll show you what do I mean by that, right? There are a few other things. You can share your takeaway. You can also sort of give your own point of view. What do you want to do? You want to end with a conclusion. You want to end with a point of view and a call to action. You could literally draft it the way you want. You know, at this point, of course, I'm keeping the brand Yarnit. You can also choose the tone. Let's say I want to be conversational in this blog. right? And I want the blog to be longer one, right? There are few other things that is very interesting. Please do check it out. Of course, at this point as well, you can give certain keywords to be added. You can add certain exclusions. Let's say, let me try and do this. Yeah, unleash, unlock. So let's try to stop them. If you are influenced or you are getting inspired by a blog that you have already written, you can actually add them in the reference material so that when the system generates, it is aware of it. It becomes very, very handy, when you are creating a social media creative. Let's say you have already written a blog and now you are coming for, you are going to create a social media creatives to promote the blog. You can actually write, put the blog in the reference material so that, it is taking the excerpts from your blog when it is generating those social media creatives, right? Now, at this point, there are two things that I could do. I can generate an outline or I can generate a content. Let me start with the outline first.
I love this graphic, this animation, right? This magical thing which keeps turning on. It kind of keeps you on the toes and makes you like wait and be, anticipated all the time. What's going to happen?
Right. It's actually, the inspiration was how you take a yarn, a ball of
Yeah,
wool,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I think I saw it this because this seems to be the inspiration. It's you're knitting something, right?
Right, right. So if you see this, of course, it has generated an outline for me. At this point, I can tweak them. If I don't like anything, I can generate a completely new one as well. If I don't like anything that it has generated, I can edit them, right? I can delete them. I can add something new. You can do a bunch of things from here. But let's say if you're broadly okay with whatever is coming out, the next step, obvious step, is to sort of generate content, right? Now, in this, when we are generating content, there are a bunch of things that are happening parallelly, folks. Actually, it's just not writing the blog for you. It is finding the best multimedia or the relevant multimedia that you could actually use in your blog. It is finding relevant research materials or rather nuggets, which could be facts, it could be stats available on internet coming from syndicated sources that you can add to your blog. And I'll show you all of that. And it is also sort of, apart from finding all of those relevant things, it is, creating or writing the blog in the way we would want it, right? So in this case, if you see, of course, that if you look at the tonality of it, it has tried to be conversational. It has, written that entire block for me. Yeah. Now it has also found out the relevant images that I could use in my story, right? It has found out some of the interesting statistics around it. When it comes to visuals and storytelling, what are the interesting things or the certain facts and stats that are relevant right now. And I can literally go in and see what are the stats. I can also add them to my blog, right? Now, just on the blog itself, if you like something like this, you want to sort of expand on this particular thing, you can do that. You want to shorten it, you can do that as well. Simplify. There are a bunch of secondary actions that you can do on the copy, right? That has been generated. Let's say, I like this, but I don't like the heading the way it has been written. I can go in and rephrase this particular heading, right? Of course, there are some actions which are common, but you can also change the tone of it. And let's say instead of conversational, I want to make it witty. It's too small of a sentence to make it witty, but let's see what comes out of this, right? See, the unleash comes. It's difficult to get the unleash out of it, but in some cases you will see that. Uh, but it is a decently good enough, a witty, uh, heading for me at this point, which I can add to the editor, and of course, it will replace whatever I've been writing, right? Likewise, you can add new sections. You can use different sections in here, right? What it will do when you're adding any new section at any point, it will look at what is that you've written earlier, what is there, coming next, and therefore it will find a relevant section to be added into your blog. You can also generate different content hooks, and this is my personal favorite because this actually brings in a lot of power from storytelling, right? Whether it is an antithesis, whether it is an anecdote, a hook questions. Now, there are few ways with which you can really start your story or make your content powerful. Likewise, there are few tricks that a lot of how time-tested storytellers have used to end their stories, whether it is a tailing question which opens a new debate, it could be a moral of the story. You can sort of create different things. Let's say you want to create a quick antithesis, which is a completely opposite statement of what you're writing, uh, you know, and how do you want to use that in the story? Right? In this case, if you see, it talks about using images in content marketing is a waste of time. It only distracts the audience from actual message and undermines the effectiveness of the written content, right? So this could be one of those bold statements that you can start your blog with, and then write that entire blog to disprove it, right? So there are some of these interesting techniques or content hooks that you can also try from here, right? Likewise, there are plenty of other things on the editor itself. It could be rephrase, which I've already shown you. If there is a completely new thing that you want to write at this point, you can actually just use this window to sort of give your comments or prompts, the way you call it. You can choose the tone, you can choose how long you want it to be, and just completely generate, right? Um, on this, look, as in, while I'm writing any of these, what would happen is basically the system constantly looks at what is that I'm writing and what is the likelihood of the impact, right? Impact on my audience. Now it says, of course, it requires some bit of expert readability. Look, as in, we didn't want to be another Grammarly, right? So don't confuse us with another Grammarly. What we wanted to do is basically what's the readability quotient that your audience need to have. It says anybody who is well versed with HBR or Harvard Business Review should be able to understand it, because when you go to a lot of this different tools, grammar tools, reading tools, they talk about your grade 7, grade 8 of
Yeah.
certain standard would need to read, but
Hemingway reader.
yeah, but the grade 7 and 8 are very different across the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, it's very, very difficult to find out, what grade 7 uh, am I speaking to, right? So, therefore, we wanted to abstract it and keep it to the reading ability. Of course, it says expert. HBR is not very difficult to read, by the way, right? But it's just that somebody has to have an understanding of that domain to read and understand whatever you're writing. There are certain statistics which are here, and finally, the impact, right? The impact that you're doing is, of course, it is grabbing attention. So whatever I have written, the choice of words that I've used is sort of making somebody feel intrigued. And it is also eye-catching at the same time. It is also demanding action, which means somebody is either getting prompted or provoked to write or create a visual story, which are good things, right? Now, of course, as you change the article, generate a completely something new, you would see that impact quotients go up and down. But this is a very interesting way. Almost think of this as doing a quick A/B testing. You wrote two things, and you wanted to check as in what is the impact that you're landing with your audience. You should be able to do that quick A/B testing in here, right? Now, at this point, of course, you can download it. If you're not happy with the generation, of course, feel free to do another generation in here, and you can do that, right? You can download them in the form of a Word doc. You can save it, and you can also publish it on Yarnit. Yarnit also gives you a publishing layer. Basically, you can use the same link, share it with your audience, and they can also view the blog, right? All right. That's pretty much on a writing use case. I would love to show you a quick visual use case so that we are covering pretty much everything that that this tool sort of provides today, right?
Uh,
Let's take
before we like move ahead, let's say
sure,
with the design aspect,
sure,
there were a few questions regarding the blog publishing, right?
sure,
So people ask, let's say, if once you publish the blog, can we
right,
like publish it on, let's say, WordPress, or let's say on any uh,
right,
a reader platform like Medium or stuff. Let's say if they don't wish to like, of course we can share the public URL of Yarnit's inside
right.
the dashboard. But if they already have an audience which they would
Hmm.
like to read that particular article, can they like? Is there an integration in the future coming up with
It
those
is there in the
platforms?
future, but current, to be honest, and folks, to be honest, look, as in a lot of these platforms are very, very different.
Mm,
If you broadly look at, of course, WordPress is the leader when it comes to websites, uh, but there are so many of them right now. There are so many of content management system people use, right? There are so many website providers, let it be a Wix,
mm,
right?
mm.
So it's difficult for us to sort of of course, what we'll try to do is find the common ones
Yeah,
and to have
correct,
integration there. But certainly something to, we are keeping a note of. Yeah.
correct, right. Okay,
You
great.
know, what,
Thanks.
one interesting thing that we probably want to do sooner enough is that whatever publishing that you are doing on Yarnet, is that
Mm,
HTML friendly enough that so that
yeah,
it can be extracted by platforms like a Medium or a
true.
WordPress, because even if you go to Medium, I think they allow you to add a link and it
Mm,
will sort of export that entire thing, or
so
rather import that entire thing into your
correct.
into Medium.
Mm,
So
they do
hopefully
that.
that, yeah, hopefully that is something that we should be able to get that quickly, rather quickly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, that was the concern. Another concern, of course,
Sure.
people like had a question as to if they have an existing audience, right? Because whenever they publish
Right.
something, they get notifications. So if they can do
Right.
it faster with Yarnet, and I think you answered it very well, that we find a common one which has the biggest
Right.
market capture,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and make it HTML friendly editor so that they can copy
Right.
and don't have to
Right.
format a lot, and just copy paste and publish.
Yep. Yep. And something that I couldn't show you last time is basically, of course, while you're writing, you can add this images into your blogs, etc. Right? Which you can do that. Research, if you like any of these, you can sort of add that onto your content as well. A lot of this is interesting because this adds a lot of credibility into your blog when you add statistics, etc. So you can do that. You can
Yep.
also go to the link and find out where this link was from. Like, for example, this is from Sprout Social. You can add that. And this is one way, folks. I think what we have tried to do is to keep every generation piece of content very up to date, right? Because one of the challenges that you would find with AI is that sometimes the content that it is generating is based on previous knowledge, right? Or rather dated knowledge, I would say, right? And these are the one ways, or one of the few ways to keep the your article on trend, more substantiated with facts. Yeah,
Got it.
right. So yeah, let's on the visual side quickly. I know I'm cognizant of time. So I'll not make it long, make it a long afternoon or morning for few of you. Let's sort of do a
Okay.
quick Instagram post. Maybe that will give us enough detail on, you know, um, and let's try something similar. The reason I'm doing that is also to show you how the system behaves when it comes to design post, right? Let's say power of visual storytelling in content marketing. Now, that's pretty much the same topic which we did. In this, the content instruction there starts with an introductory slide, add the main points, use a total of 6 slides. I can change any of that. It is, if you find them not relevant, you can change that. You can add your different points as well. And end with a CTA, let's say,
Or download the
yeah,
infographic or something like that.
craft visual stories with Yarnit, right? Uh, Let's say sign up for free. If this is something that I want to do, you know, Yarnit.app. Yeah, this is the CTA that I've added. Um, you know, there is this simple post, the brand, let's choose the tone to be casual. Yeah, this is fine, brand is fine. Now for visual use cases, there are some of these visual styles that you would see. Now, what's the need of them? You know, a lot many times when you're creating a social media post, either you would have things like which are only title headings, or you would want just paragraphs one after the another, right? Or at times you would need a heading and a paragraph. Whenever you are writing a single slide post, in most cases you will have a heading, paragraph, and a CTA, right? For example, an ad, right? As in, you want that, punchline, you want a quick description, and then you need the CTA, which could be sign up, book now, buy later, whatever, right? Uh, so in this case, I'm going to choose heading and paragraph, right? Of course, I'm not going to go to the advanced beta settings. Now, at this point, there are three CTAs actually. One, I can design it myself, right? Which means I'll get everything the system would be generating, whether it is the copy, whether it is finding the best images, icons, etc., or it could be done with AI as well. The only difference here, when you do it with design with AI, it will visually compose things for you as well, right?
Correct. In this, I also had a question because I found that these three buttons to be very curious enough, right? So let's say if
Right,
I generate the outline myself and
right,
when I go to that stage, I find out that I'm not able to do that, or I'm having writer's block, right? Let's say I
right.
was having
Yeah,
ideas 5 minutes back, but when I decided to kind of get it into the canvas and I started
right.
typing, I couldn't write anything. It's blank. So can we take
Yeah.
help of AI at that
In
moment?
the
Like,
canvas
let's
as
say,
well? Yes,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
wow, perfect.
I'll actually show you that. Right. So in this, of course, it will ask for the canvas size that you're looking for. It will also recommend what are the things that are most popular. Say, for example, if I'm doing for Instagram, it is, I think 1:1 is the most popular one
Yep.
right now. Right. So like I said, behind the scenes, it is not only writing the copy for me, it is defining the visual style, right?
Correct.
Uh, so if you see this, it has written the heading. It has found the best image for me, right? Uh, it is giving the right, headings for me, which starts with, evoking emotions and create connection. It is giving me a quick subheading around it, enhance brand awareness and recognition, right? It talks about increasing engagement and shareability. It talks about simplifying complex information, right? This basically the power, drive conversion and sales, right? And then finally, craft visual stories with Yarnit, right? And it is, if you see this, it is also giving you a quick brief on Yarnit. The reason it is able to do that because it is aware of my brand information, right? It has found these pictures for me. Of course, if I don't like any of these pictures, I can swap it from here. All I need to do is basically drag and drop these things here, right? All right. I didn't sort of choose the mattress here, right? Now, in this case, what you would see, some of this may not be up to your taste. Right? For example, this to me at this point is looking very small, right? The reason this is happening is because I have set it the way, I should probably change that because if you see this, the paragraph is as small as 16px, right? So if I change it, of course, I can edit it from here. But if I want to sort of, you know, um, if I want to sort of edit my brand kit, it will automatically pick up to 27 points, right? Now to your question, Karan, I think you had that question saying at times we may feel blank. And so the text box in itself is intelligent, and at this point you can generate something with instruction,
Wow. Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what I was asking. Like, let's say if we are
right?
stuck and if we because we have to get the graphic out and nothing is clicking. So this way we
Right.
can kind of have the help of AI and ship this creative out. That's good.
Right. No, absolutely. You should be able to do that, and some of these brand kits make things interesting. For example, you know, if I want my logos to be there on the top right on every slide, I can just go in and say apply to all. it will automatically apply to every slide. So there is no more debate around, it is half inch here, half inch there. It is auto designed for you, right? There are plenty of things that you could do, very similar to how you saw the blog editor. Images are recommended, right? There are topical images, there are related images for your story. In some cases, it will go beyond the topic, right, to find more related images to it, right? Uh, if you are not able to find the relevant images, of course, you can go and type in your keyword and find images, for yourself. Research is available, quotes are available in here. If you're looking for some music to pair to your story, you should be able to do that. We have one of the most comprehensive icons library. You can use these icons for different use cases. If you just want to a lot of folks do not want stocks, they would rather want to make it through icons. You should be able to do that as well, right?
Got
You can add new slides, delete new slides. There are assets that you can use. So if there are things that you have added, right? You can manage your assets library and completely add things in here too. Yeah. All you need to do, like I said, is simple drag and drop. You should be able to bring them onto the canvas. Very folks who are familiar with Canva would probably would get it much easier, right? There are a bunch of things that you would see here, then where there whether you are removing the background, etc. You should be able to do all of that. The text pieces come in here. Of course, if you want to sort of add a new paragraph text, you should be able to do that. There are a bunch of different shapes that you can try as well. Very interesting shapes. A lot of them are new age, those abstract shapes that you can add. It just sort of adds a little bit of splash to your story, right? For example, if I just go in and add this, although this is looking bad, I can go in and probably change the fill color. And when I change that, I can use the different gradients as well and add that to my story as well, right? Yeah, that is not looking so great, so I'm going to remove it, right? So likewise, if you see what came out interestingly though, if you look at the measure of words, right, and then it is not giving me long paragraphs now. It is giving me very specific amount of words, which is very suited to this particular medium of storytelling or the medium of content that I'm creating right now. So it is cognizant of creating those. You can use the audit layer very similar. You can also now go in and publish things directly from here itself, right? Now, this is where if you have used or added your publishing layer, the social media channels, this is where you should be able to use it. At this point, you can also generate the last minute things, right? As in, we have done this entire brilliantly done creative, but we have forgot what to write in captions. So you can generate your captions. When it is generating the caption, it will also find the relevant hashtags for you. The way it finds hashtags, you know, um, it is looking at the medium as well and trying to find out the hashtags which are relevant for that particular story, right? Or particular medium, as what is going on right now on Twitter or Instagram, what would sail on those. So our recommendation, although we say, the flexibility is to sort of, with one click, you should be able to sort of publish in all channels, schedule it, etc. But my personal recommendation in most cases would be to go one channel after the other, because the generation of the caption, the hashtags, cannot be cross-channel, because the way Instagram behaves versus a LinkedIn versus a Twitter is very different, right?
True.
All right.
Had a question in the
Sure.
publishing area, right? So
Yeah.
the meta information, the metadata, right? The title and
Right.
we can have
Caption.
native for each and every captions. So we can have native for each platforms, right? It's if we have
All right.
Twitter,
As
so
in, so
X.
yeah. So for that, you may have to publish them repeatedly, right? As
Got it.
in right now, it will just do one uniform generation. That's why exactly, Karan, why I was advising against it, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do is that you can sort of save them onto your portfolio and
Hmm.
publish it
Got
sequentially for individual
Okay.
platform,
Got it.
right?
Makes sense.
A couple of things since we spoke about it. Portfolio is the layer wherein I'll find all my creations, whether they are published or are in drafts, right? There are a bunch of things that I keep on writing and creating, and therefore you'll find a longer draft in here, right? Likewise, there is a publishing layer with which you should be able to see what is that I created. I published something very as recent as some time back on LinkedIn, so it is sitting in here. If you publish things for your calendar, you will find the schedules to be added in here, right?
Correct. This is very interesting section, which I found out because it's looking very visually amazing. So I also had a question over there, which is
Yeah,
regarding
sure.
product, and sharing. So let's say if any social media marketer or manager is working on this particular thing,
Right.
you can see that when he's going to post, he or she is going to
Yeah.
post the content.
Right.
So can
Yeah.
he or she share it with their team, or let's say download or
Uh,
kind of extra, because that's a very good feature, right? They can have all
yeah.
the calendar in their sheet or stuff they can show. So can they do that, or if that's possibility, just it add
Next,
on.
next, next quarter, Karan, next quarter.
Yeah.
No, no, that's a very interesting feedback. We have heard that. See, a lot of times our collaboration layers allow you to sort of a lot of basically if you've gone to the collaboration layer yourself, you will see there is a publisher, there is a creator, etc. But majority of the folks, although they may not have
Yeah.
publishing rights, but they can at least see the calendar. But what you said also makes sense, because a lot many times teams may not work so centrally or centralized, and in those cases it may make sense. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Right. So then there are assets. Of course, I can add my different assets in here. I can use the background remover, as well, to add different assets to my story. Yeah. Cool. That's pretty much it, folks. Happy to take any questions if you have, or else we can all say bye to each other.
No,
You
no,
know.
of course. There are a few questions which I've
Sure,
recorded,
sure,
and
no, sure.
yeah, one was for the confirmation regarding
Yeah,
the research, let's say the
yeah,
sources, right? So let's say
yeah,
when we are writing the articles, so we get the
yeah.
sources, right?
Right,
Let's say from you showed us Sprout Social. So
right.
let's say going forward, right? Let's say we reach someone is using Yarnit in the year
Mm,
2025.
mm. Yeah.
So the freshness of the sources will change as we
Absolutely.
proceed
It is
ahead, right?
as recent as all of these publishers. So we work with a couple of publishers, for example, Statista, for example, Insider Intelligence. These are different market research firms, which constantly supply us this data. So
Mhm.
as and when they publish the data, we have it, right? As in,
Correct.
right? So you can sort of use that. I didn't go down and show you the research. Actually, you can, if you go to the canvas, you can also go down and see, do ask for custom. So you can use the
Mhm.
different filters as well to do that, right?
Got it. Got it.
Right.
So
One
makes
limitation
sense.
or a trick I would suggest, a lot many times, our publishers would give their link, which means, although it is a Sprout Social, but it will be the publisher link, right?
Got it.
You might have to take the pain to actually go and find that link from the actual end publisher, right? For
Got it.
example, a Sprout Social. Yeah,
Got it. So you meant that, let's say, Statista
yeah, yeah.
publishes the data which it got from Sprout Socials. So you
Correct,
have to go to Statista first, and then you have to again
correct.
have the link between go to Sprout Social to see the original. Because
That's right.
Statista is the official API provider for your sources.
Yeah, yeah. So look, as different folks have different rights. So they have the
Correct.
publishing rights, and of course they
Makes sense.
work largely as information aggregator in
Yeah.
so many cases, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Cool. Yeah. So that answers the question, because the people wish to know if you're using the
right.
sources, so how fresh they are. Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, and the another burning question which you might have seen very frequently is regarding the video part of it. Because let's
Right,
say people are waiting for video. There's a reason for that, right? Because we get
right,
compared to simplified
right.
Predis and Victory and
Yep.
everything, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's a constant question about these having video aspects,
Right, right.
and again there's a follow-up question which we begin, which is the roadmap, and let's say what's coming next in the unit, the next quarter,
Mhm.
and even for the next year, what you guys have planned. So yeah, what's
Right.
what's up with the video?
Yeah, very interesting. I've been getting that question on from the Rocket Hub community a lot. Look, video is certainly in our minds, right? Um, to give you an exact timeline, we will be probably 2 quarters away from video at this point.
Got it.
The reason being, we want to sort of get the 2D world done or the graphics world done before we, launch ourselves into the video because it's a market, it's a huge market, it's a huge need. But at the same time, we need to get it right, right? It's
Got it.
something that we don't want to sort of become another, uh, stock video provider, right? Where you're chopping and changing things. We might while I'm saying this, we may end up become one, but the idea is not to get there, right? So video, of course, it's in on our mind, and we would sort of for all the LTD buyers will have some code of the videos as well. What is coming next? There are very interesting things. One, we what we realized is that a lot of folks have similar patterns of designs that work, right? As in they're not changing the backgrounds of their creative so much, right? It's just that they, keep the theme consistent. It also reflects their personality. So you're bringing a vectorizer, right? Which should allow you to convert anything that you've created outside Yarnit also as editable templates. So that is coming. If you don't hold me to this, it will come end of this month, right? There are layers of insights that we are bringing in, which should be able to give you insights on your post, how they're working, why they're
Hmm.
working good for you, right? And the third one is the AI art generator,
Got
right?
it.
Again, the art generator, we don't want to, we want to find a purpose for those art that you generate because, you know, we don't want to sort of create six-legged horses and five-legged animals and etc. because those are interesting, but ultimately what we realize is that from a customer standpoint, either you are trying to sort of use that imagery to enhance something that you already have, right? So the idea of our art generation would be how do we amplify the design layer uh, to ensure whether you are doing your commercials, ads, or your 2D graphics, right? Um, how do you sort of amplify that, right? So that those are a couple of things which are in within our next quarter. You should see that we are making our release cycles. We've done massive sprints, as in almost releasing every month, but we are sort of doing that now in a 2 month period. So folks should see some new updates soon. Yeah,
Got it. And of course, this will be available for the LTD buyers because they are very much
yeah, of course.
excited.
Right, of course. Right, no,
Correct.
absolutely. And we will keep you folks informed of
Yeah.
how and when we are bringing that, right?
Correct. And of course,
Right,
yeah, I think you're also making up the roadmap. I had a talk with, the Akash. He told me that
right.
the roadmap, let's say, format is being created so people can see what's coming up in the next quarter or next year and what's the team's working
Right.
upon. That's great.
No,
Cool.
absolutely. We'll try
Amazing.
to sort of publish as much as possible. We want to sort of learn from the community, and on this
Mm.
call itself, I got two that added to my roadmap, thanks to you. And
Great.
so far, our interaction with the Rocket Hub community has been very, very useful. A lot of people have asked for language capabilities, and that is something that I wanted to address because, look at what's happening on the AI side, especially with the language models. They are able to sort of work with different languages, but they are not as creative as they should be in other languages, right? And for example, when you write the same ad copy in, let's say, in English or a local language like in India, Hindi, the Hindi comes out to be too purist, right? It is not quirky. It is not giving you that funny element, right? And that will be a very suboptimal experience. So just for the heck of it, we don't want to bring another add 30 languages to it, right? We will slowly release them. Just that we want to be confident that their output should be as good as English right now, right? But that is something that is certainly there in the roadmap because we got a lot of questions from users and customers.
Correct.
Uh,
Hmm.
we would be bringing them. It's just that, the moment we get confident, we will be able to bring them to you. So,
Correct, because I think even let's say if you wish to expand to your enterprise base
right,
to
right,
let's
right,
say
totally.
the European Union or any
Yeah,
South American continent, I think that will help you kind of you know um, makes like uh, make reach more people and they will
yeah.
understand they can try more stuff. Amazing, amazing. So
No,
yeah,
one
that's
thing
a
is
good
the
news.
user, but even from a market perspective, look, as in every piece of content is getting hyper local right now,
Correct.
right? Everybody wants to create and cater to their specific locality and locality of users. So language capabilities are a no-brainer. It's just that we want to be confident before we and have the same level of creative bend before we get them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Great. Before we go, we maybe make you sleep and be ready for Independence Day tomorrow celebrations. We had one last question, and of course, this
Sure.
is coming from me and the community that they love the content auditor part of it,
Right.
which is it audits your content and gets you know that if you're publishing this, you better make it better. Better make it better or better make it best, so you get the right, impact as per your terminology. So how frequently, let's say, are we going to improve the auditor's capabilities? So
Right.
let's say we add two more fields apart from let's say the readability aspect, the
Right.
how the people, even the perception aspect, right? How this persona will let's say perceive it. So for example,
Mm.
if you are publishing content for social media marketers, but
Right.
even if you want wish to know, or you can select, let's say if I want to know how digital marketers or how SEOs will be able to perceive this
Right.
content as.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
different for different personas?
Mm. This is the third, fourth, and fifth and sixth element in my roadmap.
Yeah, that's why
But
I love using products and giving product feedbacks. That's
no, no, no,
my specialty to work.
absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. See, on a readability, we don't open up the engine so much because you will see a lot of other emotional elements which are captured when it comes to the things that you see, as in the emotions or that emotional attributes rather. We want to make it open a little bit so that you can also look at what are the other things that is coming up, right? Two, very interestingly that you brought up, as in, is it cognizant of my audience? We want to make it cognizant of your audience, right? The third thing that you should see from us soon enough. See, right now to in all honesty, it's a good to have, great, fantastic. I know my audience is like going to like it, but does it give you remediation option? Not really, right? As in, okay, what if I want to make it now stunning? Or how
Yeah,
do I make it grab attention, right? So remediation is something that should come in sooner, right? So that it is much more actionable for you rather than just me holding the book to you and the placard saying this is readable. We want to sort of make it a little bit more useful for you. Yeah.
correct. Okay. Yep, makes sense. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, and JD for this amazing session. And anyone who hasn't grabbed your code from Rocket Hub, today is the last day for the discount. Go ahead and give us the independence gift. Kind of have it on board. Buy as much Yarnit as you can.
Yep.
So thank you so much
Absolutely.
again, JD. And before you go, any words for the community?
No, absolutely. I love them. I love them because they are very candid. They're
Yeah.
very honest. They don't. I was like,
He
you had told
expected
me.
bombs to be dropped, but you said, okay, you're dropping flowers on me now.
No, no, absolutely. It's just the candidness of the community that we love because, uh, you know, the only thing that we can do from here is make the product better, right? And pass that benefits or pass that betterness, if you can call it, back to the community, right? So it is keeping me and my team on toes and honest to the product, and which is what we love it, right? And then right? So we would love to be engaged with the community. Give us your feedback. Of course, some may pinch us a bit, but majority of them are making us better people, right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. People are loving it because we are getting a feedback that it's a very
Yeah,
polished product because when you see it, it gives you the premium feel of using the product, right? That experience is very much important.
right,
And there
right.
and when one of the biggest groups, you are the second most favorite LTDs of the week. So that's
Fantastic.
we are trying to get it to number one. We're trying to get you in the news,
Yeah.
that so people you stay on top of the minds. So
And that's the
great. Thank you
love
so much.
that we need. Show us some love.
Yeah,
Please, use the product as much as possible and give
yeah,
your feedback. Yeah.
great.
All right.
Amazing. All right, JD, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for
Okay.
attending today. It was great. So we'll see you on the next Great Rocket Up exclusive webinar. Till then, have a great day, night, whatever, wherever you are. All right. Thanks.
Take care. Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye bye.